TINUBU departs Abuja on Thursday for official visit to China. President Bola Tinubu is expected to depart Abuja for an official visit to Beijing, China on Thursday, August 29. President Tinubu will have a brief layover in the United Arab Emirates. In China, the president, according to a statement issued by his media advisor, Ajurun Gelale, will meet with President Xi Jinping and also hold meetings with Chinese business leaders on the sidelines of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation. President Tinubu will be accompanied on the trip by top government officials. So amid all of the crises that the Nigerian people are experiencing, and they await the reaction from their leader, once again the Nigerian president has taken on another trip to China. And the first thing that came to mind is, if at all the reason for this trip is actually to work on how to get the presidential jets that were seized and some of our property, some of the Nigerian property that were seized in the US. About 2 buildings belonging to the Nigerian government was seized in the US. We are actually wondering if that was a conversation that the Mr. President would be having with the president of China, that's Xi Jinping. But it is so unfortunate that the reason for this visit is to focus on discussion as regards to trade, investment, infrastructure, and security cooperation. And we are wondering, how do you expect the people with whom you have breached an agreement with to reach another agreement with you to come to invest again when you have not settled the previous issue? Now, we have to understand that the issue that the Nigerian government, because it is now a Nigerian government thing, we can't say it is between the Ogun State government and the Chinese company, that's Fucheng Zuchang. We would not conclude that it is not a Nigerian problem, because a state under you cannot have a free trade zone without your acknowledgement. And the fact that you breached agreements with a Chinese firm and they took you to court, before that even happened, you arrested one of their officials, you tortured them as though it is the way you treat your own citizen. They let that aside until the contract agreement was breached, where they wanted to transfer ownership of the company to a subordinate company under them. Then they concluded they are going to make it a court issue with you. You are not working on how you are going to resolute on that. You are not talking of how you are going to settle it with the Chinese firm. And now you are going to their country to seek trade investment. And we are wondering, does the Nigerian government think the Chinese people are as blind? Now, we have on this table, we have settled the fact that you cannot, how can a company from outside, a Chinese company, come into your country to have 80% stakehold in your own land? 80% stakeholding in your own land. And we are wondering, you can never do that if you had gone to Chinese. And now that is happening. The Nigerian government, Mr. President himself, has not addressed Nigerians as regards to how the presidential jet was seized. He has not addressed Nigerians as regards to what he did that made the Chinese firm to release the presidential jet to him when he went on a working visit, or a work stay. That's the word. That was the adjective used. A work stay in France. He has not explained to Nigerians how he was able to do that. He came back to Nigeria last Friday to swear in the new CJ, and that's the Chief Justice of Nigeria. Nigerians were still assuming he would explain. Maybe the presidential jet will be returned. Now, the presidential jet has not been returned to the Chinese company. The Nigerian president has not addressed Nigerians as to what he did that made them to release that presidential jet. And it is the same presidential jet that he's using on this supposed trade investment visit to China. And we are wondering, there is a clause in that area, and it still come back to the issue of transparency. Our leaders must understand that you are not ruling over animals who cannot understand the language you are speaking. The Nigerian government should understand that they are ruling over humans, and even if it is an animal, a shepherd will shepherd his sheep, and whatever he says to them is what they will listen to, as much as they cannot understand the language he's speaking. But it is not a strange language when the shepherd use a stick to hit the buttock of the sheep and ask them to go this direction. That is exactly where they would go. You are leading people, and it is expected that you give them feedback as regards to what is ongoing, especially as regards to pertinent issues in the country. And these pertinent issues in the country is as regards to the fact that, as at the time you got this presidential jet, Nigerians are saying that this is not what we need now. And the supplementary bill to get the presidential jet was passed in the Senate behind Nigerians, that Nigerians do not know. Except for when the Senate president was saying that they will do everything in their capacity to ensure that they get the presidential jet for the president, and there is nothing anybody can do. And that was just of recent. So that was the only time that we get to know that they got a presidential jet for Mr. President. And until the presidential jet was seized, we did not know they spent $100 million to get that presidential jet. Now there's no explanation as regards to that, all of that conversation. There is, even if the Mr. President will not address the people, there is the media advisor Ajurin Galili. There is the media aide of Mr. President Bayo Nonuga. There are spokesperson whom the Mr. President can relate with, and let's carry Nigerians along. I mean, the essence of the media advisor is to represent Mr. President on the media space. Not even Bayo Nonuga has come out to own up to the amount that they used to get that presidential jet. Funny enough, the presidential jet is not even a new one. It is a fairly used, that's been used for 5 years, prior to the time that the Nigerian government got it. And we did not know all these things, except for people who did their due diligence to come and explain to Nigerians as regards to what we see happening. So we took a story earlier where Omoyele Sowore was talking about a protest that is coming up in October. When I mentioned orientation, these are part of the things that you should be orientating people about. That you have a leader who do not care about your opinion. You have a leader who does not care how you feel about the decision they are making. As long as it suits their standard, they don't mind. They don't care if they step on your neck, they press you down. They made you go through all sort of things for them to get these luxuries that suit their own expensive lifestyle. They do not care how you feel in the process. So these are the orientations that we are talking about. There was a president in Burkina Faso who he would at all time address his people. These are the things that we are doing. We are not going to get funds from IMF. Why? Because we can actually cut down cost of governance on our own part. We have such presidents, Ibrahim Traore in Burkina Faso, who said we are slashing our own salary just to ensure that we get to where we are supposed to get to in the country. But these are the things that the Nigerian government cannot do. So you give enough comparison and tell them why they have to come outside. That there is a president in Senegal, Diomaye Faye, who chose not to go with officials on any of his visiting to other countries, who chose not to be welcomed by top officials of the government. Why? Because he felt like these people can actually be busy with something else while all of this thing is happening. You don't have to come outside to come and welcome me. When you come out to come and welcome me, it means that you are jobless, you have nothing. These are part of the orientations that we are talking about. And once again, this visit to China, it is stated from this report that the president is going with top officials that are not disclosed. And definitely, the top officials will be included with the office of the first son, which is supposed to have been scrapped. The first son, all of these people that will be going on this on this visit to China, definitely they are not going to be feeding on water. They are not going to fast. They are going to eat. And all of these things that they will do, all of the moving around they will be doing, it is coming from the national treasury. Yet the Nigerian government will say there is no money. So that is on the aspect of going with top officials on this visiting that you have not even cleared the air. So if you are orientating Nigerians, these are part of the things that you should be telling them. If these supposed top officials are busy enough with the affairs of the Nigerian people, they won't have working visit to China. They would have about their day-to-day activities, going about how they would ensure that the Nigerian people are taken care of, going about how to build infrastructure, going about how to curb insecurity, taking care of the needs at home. At least these are the things that these other investors that you want to go and attract, these are the things that they would see. Now let's move to the aspect of the investors, that the trade investors that the Nigerian government is going to attract to Nigeria. Because it amazed me that when you look inward in Nigeria, you really can't tell what exactly these people want to come and invest in. Should we say they want to come and invest in CNG? Yes, maybe to their benefits. At least they would be able to import more CNG cylinders. They will be able to import more, so they will be able to bring in more expertise who would be training the Nigerian. That is if they are even going to train. Or they would bring in expertise who would be working on this installment of this CNG buses, and they are not going to look at how they can teach people, because they know that if they pass their knowledge down to the Nigerian people, they are Aba boys who would come and hijack this thing from them. And it will be a failure on their part. So it is so unfortunate that the Nigerian government can think of attracting investors, yet you are not taking care of the need at home. What will make investors to come into your country? Even if it is ordinary land they want to invest in, they want to be sure that this ordinary land that they are investing in, within the country, there is adequate security. Within the we know that the essence of the British personnel who came to who came to the Prince Charles coming to visit Nigeria earlier this year was so the Nigerian government can prove a point that if Prince Charles and the princess can come into the country and nobody attack them, nobody kidnap them, that is a proof that insecurity is a thing of past in Nigeria. But that is a big fat lie, because these people, they listen to the news, they are on the social media space, they can see how insecurity is a thing in Nigeria, they can see how a medical doctor was kidnapped in Nigeria for the past 8 months. Kudirat Popola is yet to be back. They can see how 20 medical students were recently kidnapped in Nigeria. They can see how monarchs were being killed in Nigeria just because the Nigerian government cannot provide the ransom or even send in their security personnel to go and bring this man back. They can see how Ekiti monarchs were killed. They can see how the monarchs in Kwara were killed. They can see how the children in Ekiti State were kidnapped and their teachers killed. They can see all of these things. So even if it is ordinary water, pipe-borne water, these people want to come and invest in Nigeria, they can hear about these cases of insecurity. They can hear about the lightnings. They can hear about power in Nigeria. Or how can the Nigerian government justify that a community a community in Abuja that is supposed to be the capital city of the country has not been using power for the past 100 years, and it is not even the Nigerian government. It is not the Nigerian government that work on how they got power. It is a private sector that use solar to power the lights in that community. Yet this community is in the state capital city of Nigeria. So these people can hear all of this. So I am just wondering if it is Shakabula, let's use Shakabula, if it is voodoo, if it is black magic, the Nigerian government actually wants these people, want to use for these people to come and invest in the country. And for the fact that you have not proven yourself to be a country with integrity enough for those people to come and invest in, for the fact that there is still a breach of agreement, there is an ongoing court issue with a Chinese firm that transacted business with you many years ago, and they seized your property now. That is more than enough shame for you to hide your face and say, let's clear the mess. If at all we want those people to come and invest in us, let's clear the mess on ground. Then they will come by themselves. And we have, on this table, we have settled quite a number of issues that if the Nigerian government wants anybody at all to come and invest in Nigeria, take care of the businesses at home. According to the Manufacturing Association of Nigeria, they said in the space of May 2023 down to April 2024, over 700 businesses has folded up in Nigeria. Why are they folding up? Because of the economic policies that the Nigerian government are introducing. Currently, the Manufacturing Association of Nigeria is proposing that they reduce taxation on businesses to 1% after the Nigerian government had increased it to 5% earlier this year. Now, because they could not meet up with that, they are pleading with the Nigerian government to reduce it to 1%. So, how do you want investors to come into the country when they know that they will be paying that huge on taxation and the people are not making profits? So how do they want to explain that? How does the Nigerian government want to attract foreign investors when even the local investors at home, businesses that has been operating for 30 years, for over decades in the country, these businesses, there is no good business climate condition that will help them to grow in the country. And we would always reference the like of Landmark and some other resorts that were demolished while they wanted to start the Lagos to Calabar Coastal Highway. Landmark is a $30 billion investment in Nigeria, a business that has been existing for 27 years. The Nigerian government did not consider that, okay, let's give these people time. Let's give them enough time, or let's give them the space of the time they had wanted to start and December 2024. Let's give them this space. By the time we give them this space, we'll work on other roads that are left undone. Then we'll come back to it. So by the time we give them this space, they would have looked for means or other ways to expand their business or to take their business from where it was to a better environment. The Nigerian government did not consider that. Yet, we have other 4,000 roads in Nigeria that is yet to be constructed, according to the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, who said they will not be embarking on any project in 2025. So I am just wondering if what the Nigerian government are intending to use to attract this Chinese or the China government to come and invest in Nigeria is the Lagos to Calabar Coastal Highway, the road that we know that even by 2027 they would not have finished it up, because according to Dave Umahi, he said 1 kilometer of that road will require like 6 billion naira, just 1 kilometer, and this is over 50-kilometer road. So how does the Nigerian government want to justify this? So if at all you want to attract foreign investors, ensure that even the businesses at home are enjoying. It is the businesses at home that will push others to come outside and say, oh, look at businesses are thriving in Nigeria. Nigeria is a good place for us to go and invest. Businesses are thriving, they are working. They don't even need any media aid to give a voice for them. They don't even need to travel to China, because I see that now that they are traveling to China, it is looking like they are going to beg for investments. No, you don't beg for investment. People will see what you are doing, and by themselves, they will decide to come to you and say, I see that your country is thriving in business. I want to invest. So if they go, what exactly do they want to that we have that you can use as your investment tool in the country? So I see this visiting to China as a way of the Nigerian government pleading with the Chinese people to come and invest in us. Yes, I understand that tech-wise, the Chinese people are way ahead of us. In business-wise, China is way ahead of us. So it is quite understandable that you want experienced people to come and invest in your country, but you don't do investments by begging. Let people see what you have done, and by the time you could reach out to them, they will feel honored to come and invest in you because they can see the things that you are doing. So we also hope that by the time the Nigerian government get back to Nigeria, they would be able to explain to Nigeria as regards to other investments that they have gone to. They said there was a earlier this year, the Nigerian government went to Qatar. They visit the museum in Qatar. We are wondering if at all we have anything that the Qatari can come and visit in the country. So currently, as at January when they went to Qatar, they said in 3 months' time the Qatari people will come to Nigeria to come and sightsee some of the things that they had discussed. It is the 8th month of the year. Today is the 30th. We are entering the 9th month of the year. Yet the Qatari has not come to Nigeria to come and oversee all of the things that the Nigerian government said before. There are quite a number of other visits. Twice this year, Mr. President has gone to France for a work visit in France. So, work visits, what impact has it had on the Nigerian economy? We can't see it. So, we hope that by the time Mr. President gets back, hopefully his PR team will be able to convince him to address the Nigerian people as regards to what he is doing to ensure that the China, or what he has discussed with the China government, and what the Nigerian people stand to gain as a result of this visiting that he has gone for in China. And on a final note, we hope that he would be able to operate operate check and balance with the Nigerian people. It will be able to account to the Nigerian people as regards to all that he has been, all of the back and forth that we have seen in Nigeria. He will be able to explain to us what is happening in NNPCL as the Minister of Petroleum, why they sold NNPCL retail to OVH Energy. We hope that he will be able to give us all of this explanation. And to wrap up this conversation, this is going to be my final message to Omoyele Sowore as regards to the story that we took earlier. If you want people to come outside to protest, orientate them and give them facts, not opinions, not some kind of heresies on why they have to protest. And these are part of the things you should orientate them about. Your government has been going on working visits to different countries. How has it impacted the economy? And all of this working visit to other countries, they spend huge amount of money on them. So you must demand accountability and transparency from your people. These are ways in which you orientate the people and let them know why they have to come back. So on this note, this is all that we will be able to take on the newspaper review segment right here at Prime Media TV. But before we leave the studio, we'd like that you follow us on all our social media platforms. On Facebook, we're Prime Media TV. On Instagram and TikTok, we're Prime Media Studios. On the website where you're currently watching us, we're enginespeak.com. And you can do well to follow us on YouTube at Prime Media TV. Until I come your way again on Monday on the morning review, do have a great day.